everyone, it's Holly Marie King, and I am here with Not a Dream, Chapter 11. Now, before I start this chapter, I'm pretty sure this is the one that I'm thinking it is. It might be a little weird, just so you know. I don't remember if it was my brother asking me or if it was my thinking, but it was something that I was thinking about for the oh, my eyes watering, for the book. I always wondered, Helen has been doing this, will be away for a year in this series. Like, it's a year-long process from traveling from one place to the next. So I added something in, and most women will know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say what it is, but it ended up turning out pretty weird. So we'll get started. Just know this one's going to be a little interesting. Anyway, so let's just dive in and find out what happens. Chapter 11, A Pit Stop. I'm tired, Ellen whined, slouching as she trudged along behind John and Helen. We just rested 10 minutes ago, John said irritably. Well, I want to rest again. Or do you want another piece of the prophecy? Ellen asked tauntingly. John, Helen snapped, making the young man shut his mouth. If you need to rest, Ellen, we can rest in just 20 more minutes. But I'm tired now. Ellen's whiny voice hadn't stopped since they stepped out of the village. Well, we are in a hurry. We can only afford to rest every half an hour, Helen said patiently. You'll get used to traveling after a couple of days. Why can't we just rest now and wait longer to rest later? Ellen was getting on everyone's last nerve. Oh, for crying out loud! I can't listen to this anymore! Allison popped out of Helen's head and went up into the trees. You'll just want to rest again after that in 5 minutes. And it'll just keep getting worse and worse because you can't keep walking for longer than 20 minutes, John growled. John, please don't make this worse than it already is, Helen begged the short-fused man. Rosie followed Allison to the treetops. Why do you walk on the trees? She asked her fellow spirit. So that I feel as though I can fly, Allison said happily. Now get out of my trees and tell your human to shut herself up, or I'll make her shut up. Rosie floated down to walk next to Helen. Your spirit is cranky. I think she just overslept, Helen said half-jokingly. Can you tell me what you're looking for? She had decided to cut Ellen's voice out of her mind. This person plucks the chords of hope beautifully, Rosie answered her. I think it refers to a harp. Why do you think that? Helen asked her. Rosie cocked her head to one side. I don't know. I just do. Helen sighed tiredly. She first had to deal with the two hotheads that didn't get along. Then she had to deal with a whiner. Now she was stuck with an airhead. Things were looking bleak, and Helen didn't know if she could keep herself in check much longer. Allison sensed the girl's distress and floated down to be at Helen's side. Maybe we should find a place to stay for a couple of hours, just so everyone can get a little break from you-know-who. Allison suggested to the human. Thanks, but I'm beginning to think that you just want to have fun. You just want to have Troy find us, Helen said to the spirit. Why would you think that I would ever want to see that creature again? Allison asked, immediately offended by this remark. I'm just saying that I have no idea whose side you're on. Helen said in her defense, I understand I have given you no reason to trust me, but how am I to know that you really mean that you're actually trying to help us? You're not sure you even want to do this, Allison snapped. How do you know about that? Helen was immediately on guard now. That's right. You know her who's boss. You show her who's boss. The voice hissed in Helen's head, feeding into her anger. I can read every one of your thoughts, Allison said in triumph. Ugh! Helen was finished with all the deceit in her life. You are now not allowed to read my thoughts unless I give you permission in order to do so. Fine by me. Your thoughts are so pathetic anyway. Oh, poor me. No one loves me. Poor me. Allison mocked Helen openly. Shut up, Helen yelled at the spirit. Whoa. John said suddenly, catching the two girls by surprise, making them turn. Ellen was too busy talking with Rosie to notice anything. We're close to my parents' house. Already random. We should stop by since we're around. It's been so long since we saw them, Burke suggested. Maybe you're right, John agreed. No one else had any complaints to this, and so it was unanimously decided to go ahead and go to the brothers' parents' house. Brothers' parents' house. When the door opened, a female version of John stepped out, minus the eyes. They matched Burke's mischievous ones, and immediately wrapped her arms around the young man's neck. Jonathan! I can't believe you're here, and with friends! I can't believe you have friends, the woman said happily. She then saw Birkin giggle like a little schoolgirl. Oh, now I see. You have Birkins with you. That's why they're here. Yep, Mother's awesome. Helen and Allison exchanged looks. Even though they were fighting, they still found the situation before them strange enough not to care about any... Can't read today. Not to care about it anymore. Yes, Mother, John answered. He was shaking with the effort to keep himself under control. Yikes. Burke and I have come for a visit with my friends. And with friends. Goodness gracious. Okay. Alright, let's keep going through this. Apparently I can't read today. Is Father here? He sounded so stiff. Even if John was being himself, he couldn't have sounded like this unless he was forcing it, of course. Helen walked up. Excuse me, goodness. Now I'm tongue-tied and yawning. Let's keep going. Helen walked up to him and whispered in his ear. Maybe you should relax a little. You sound so unnatural, she told him. Can't help it. I'm already ready to shout my head off, and we haven't even made it to the door yet. John whispered back. Ooh. John's mother squealed with delight. Artemis, your son is here with a lady friend. Burke has his prospective wife. A deep voice appeared from within and was working its way to the front door. Birkins could do much better than this one, the woman said. Helen bit her tongue. She couldn't help but feel offended at this woman's observation. But she was a guest and had to be polite. Mother, don't talk about her like that. She could do better than even Burke himself. John came to her defense and said, John, don't argue with your mother. God, I gotta get loud. John, don't argue with your mother. His father scolded him. I had to go deeper. It wasn't deep enough. Where are our manners? Come on in, darlings, his mother said as if nothing had happened. She was happy about everything. She was happy about everything. You know, like, she was too happy, but it was scary. Helen was the last through the door, and when she turned around, after making sure the door was closed behind her, she found herself face to face with John's mother. This is when it gets weird. You must be ovulating. Excuse me? Helen was more shocked than anything. You're sweating more than you should. You're very pale, and you have a very short temper for someone like you. The woman said, getting closer to Helen. I don't know what to tell you, Helen protested, trying to get away from the woman. She didn't much like having someone so close to her face. Come with me. We have no time to waste. The older woman had a hold of her before Helen had time to protest. In a way, the woman was scarier than Troy ever could be. Put this on. The woman handed Helen a very thick cloth. I've never worn one of these things before, Helen admitted, looking at the odd-shaped cloth with fear. Fine then, the woman said to her, not even flinching at Helen's words. Take your clothes off. We must catch it in time. Helen shakily took her traveling pants off, not sure she was anywhere near comfortable in this situation. When her pants came off, the older woman jumped in and put the cloth on for her and pinned it up so that it could stay in place. Thank you, Helen said, quickly putting her pants back on. Just be sure to change it once a day. The woman clapped her hands. I'm so excited that you are ovulating now. You have to stay for a week. Oh dear. Helen walked out of the room and immediately felt cramps. No wonder she had been so cranky for the last couple of days. Are you okay? John asked the girl. He saw a look of pain on her face. He was leaning up against the counter in the kitchen. The light from the window was shining all around him, making him look almost like a spirit. You look very pale. Yes, I'm fine. Just a little woman problem that you learn to get used to, Helen answered, chuckling slightly. She sat down at the kitchen table, needing to rest her cramping body. She set her chair so that it was facing towards the main room, where Burke and Allison were observing the many animal heads on the wall. By the way, is your mother psychic or something? It's her ability that she was given, but she can't predict anything she wants. She just gets approximations about what's going to happen in the near future. Why do you ask? John asked. It's not psychic. What is that? That's something else. It's not psychic. Helen, he went over to the table so that he was sitting in front of her. She knew about my problem before I even guessed. It was super weird, Helen answered, watching John's mother closely. Nah, she's always been really strange, but that's my mother for you. Apparently it's a normal everyday for him. John said. He smiled a sweet smile. Smiling looked good on him. In fact, it suited him very well. Helen smiled back, but then frowned, feeling a pang in her heart. What's wrong? Helen cleared her throat and turned away. It's nothing. She looked at the others, and they were all in their own little world. Allison and Burke were having a very intriguing conversation about Artemis's glory days, and Ellen and Rosie were talking to John's mother about girly things that Helen didn't understand. I owe you an apology. What? John looked at her confused. I assumed that you were just being rude when you were talking about your parents. Granted, I do get jealous of two-parent homes, but that's a story for a later day. Helen quickly bypassed questioning from John by quickly covering up her moment of weakness. She was not going to share her home life so easily with the man she just met not a month ago. I didn't know that your parents were so neglectful of you compared to how proud they are of Burke. It's okay. I got used to it. And I guess I owe you an apology too, John said to her. What? Why? Helen looked at him, seeing a new look on his face that made him look even better than when he smiled. John looked at her with sincerity on his face. Because I've been angry at Burke for so long that I didn't understand that I could just be my own person. Sorry for being so stubborn, but after 14 years of being angry, it's kind of hard to let it go. John is not 14. That's just what he said. I guess that means we're at a truce then, Helen suggested. She smiled at him. It felt so strange to smile in a home. Even when she was with her best friend or her boyfriend, she had never really smiled. But the kitchen that the two were sitting in made her feel completely safe and warm. John wasn't making it difficult to feel at ease either, which was a very nice feeling. Alright. Well, that's the end of chapter 11. I told you it was going to be a little strange. But yeah, so we are wrapping up the rough draft in the other series that we're reading, but the final draft still isn't like even halfway. So we got a few more weeks before we do that. So even though I'm going to be starting a new rough draft, I'll finish this final draft, and then we'll be moving on to the final draft of the other one, and hopefully I can finish it before I start it. But yeah, for this one, I do have in the description below, I will have links for you to be able to purchase this book if you are interested. But yeah, so anyway, hopefully I will see you guys next time. Bye!